Module 1, Lesson 1B, The Limitation of Historical Knowledge. In this part of the lesson, we will discuss the limitation of historical knowledge, history, the subjective process of recreation, historical method, and historiography. So again, when we talk about the limitation of historical knowledge, it says here the incompleteness of records has limited man's knowledge of history. So most human affairs happen without leaving any evidence or records of any kind. No artifacts, or if there are, no further evidence that the human of setting in which to place surviving artifacts. So, ibig sabihin dito, no, walang patotoo. Although it may have happened, but the past has perished forever with only occasional traces. So, very limited when it regards to evidence, artifacts, diba? So again, when it regards to limitations, the whole is history of the past called history as actuality can be known to a historian only through the surviving records. History as the record, and the most of historians' record is only a tiny part of the whole phenomenon. Even the archaeological and anthropological discoveries are only small parts of discovered from the total past. Okay, so let's proceed to history, the subjective process of recreation. So, from the incomplete evidence, historians strive to restore the total past of mankind. They do it from the point of view that human beings lived in different times and that their experiences may be somehow comparable, or that their experiences may have significantly differed contingent on the place and time. For the historian, history becomes only that part of the human past which can be meaningfully reconstructed from the available records and from inferences regarding their setting. So, in short, the historian's aim is verisimilitude, which is the truth, authenticity, plausibility about past. Unlike the study of a natural science that has objectively measurable phenomena, the study of history is subjective. Processed as documents and relics are scattered and do not together comprise the total object that the historian is studying. So some of the natural scientists, such as geologists and paleontologists, who study fossils from the traces of a perished past, greatly resemble historians in this regard, but they differ at certain points since historians deal with human testimonies as well as physical traces. Historical method and historiography. So the process of critically examining and analyzing the records and survivals of the past is called historical method. So the imaginative reconstruction of the past from the data derived by the process is called historiography by means of historical method and historiography. So both of which are frequently grouped together simply as historical method. The historian endeavors to reconstruct as much of the past of mankind as she can. So even in this limited effort, however, the historian is handicapped. She rarely can tell a story even if some of the part of the past is it occurred. For the past conceived of as something that actually occurred, places obvious limits upon the kinds of record and of imagination that the historian may use. These limits distinguish history from fiction, poetry, drama, and fantasy. So again, historical analysis is also an important element of historical method. So in historical analysis, historians must, number one, select subject to investigate. Number two, collect probable sources of information on the subject. Number three, examine the sources of genuineness in part of in whole. Number four, extract credible particulars from the sources of parts of sources. So basically, the synthesis of the particulars thus derive from this historiography, synthesis, and analysis cannot be entirely separated, since they have a common ground, which is the ability to understand the past through some meaningful, evocative, and convincing historical or cross-disciplinary connections between a given historical issue and other historical contexts, periods, or themes. End of lesson one. So let's proceed to the discussion. Share your insights, share your findings, your own findings when it regards to history. Thank you, learners.